Okay, let's see if this stream comes on. Okay, looking good. Okay, so if you were here earlier, whenever I was flying the quadcopters out in the backyard, I mentioned that I was having problems with the practice quad, and it looked like it was like stalling in the air. Like I would go around a corner, and I would have continuous input as to keep turning, and it would just kind of stop in one direction and keep then jitter some and keep going. So I think what was happening is I was losing, getting into a failsafe kind of mode or something. So, or I was, at least it wasn't getting all the packets that the transmitter was putting out. So, to see if that's going to actually work, to see if that was actually the problem, I'm going to put a new XM Plus receiver in there that I had laying around. I'd like to keep quite a few receivers just laying around in case something like this happens. So we're going to try the new soldering camera out and see how that goes. And we'll. This is probably going to be a short stream because I'm not going to be able to actually test the quad. It's obviously dark out and it's raining. So we'll just get the receiver on there, try to get it bound up, and make sure everything's moving in beta flight, and maybe even tweak some settings. I wasn't sure that I liked how the second quad flew a little bit more, and I also want to see if I can get pit mode on a switch, or if their pit mode is already on a switch and I forgot about it, what switch is that on? So yeah, because trying to, if you watched the stream earlier, it really sucked trying to hold the quad in the right place and then use the receiver, and it made me feel like an idiot. So we're going to try to get rid of that. So back onto the receiver, we're going to jump over to the soldering camera. And okay, so we're going to desolder the old one here. I already got my soldering iron warmed up, and I got my small point on for this kind of work. I really hope I can see what the heck I'm doing. I hope I stay in focus on the camera. Like I said, this is the first time this thing's actually worked. Where is my other? I just put a napkin down underneath the work here so that you it's easy, a little bit easier to see what the heck's going on. Otherwise, you get that. Hopefully that should be good. It's not. That's more better. Now, where the heck is... Oh, it feels silly now. Where is my tweezers? I know I had them here a second ago. This is why I usually like to keep a lot cleaner work area, but since this is kind of not something I was planning on doing. Stand up and go, where was I when this crazy thing went away? Okay. Then drop it. Did I put it in my pocket? No. Oh, that really stinks because it's really hard to solder without that. maybe I'm a little bit biased on that. Did I put it back in my receiver bag? No. Is it under here? Yep. There it is. Much better. And the reason I like these tweezers is because these are tweezers that you push to open and then let go and they just stay closed. And it's really nice for soldering because I can just grab onto this wire and pull on it, and I don't have to like keep pressure to keep it closed or anything. I can just kind of let go and just let it pull. So let's put some flux on here. Trying real hard to keep everything in the view. Need like 3 hands. As a matter of fact, I have that ability. Yeah, maybe this would be better. Let's use one of these helping hands instead of this extra clamp. That is what they are for, so got that right there. Bring it down into position, something like that. Okay, now let's solder. Alright, so this first one I'm pulling off is my ground wire. I'm just going to pull them off in order from outside to inside just because that's easier. Okay, so that was easy enough, right? Let's see if we can get even some more light on this situation here. Does that help? Well, it sure does. Alright, you have to see this from the project stand. So, this is my helping hand station. Now I have a microscope on it. This is the microscope for the soldering view. This is one of the arms. One of the arms is holding the actual receiver. And then we got another light. We just got a flashlight clipped onto here so that we could get some extra light. This thing is ridiculous. I'm so glad I made this thing. It works so good. Alright, anyhow, back to soldering. Okay, so this one's done. I'll put this back in the bag. There's really I don't think there's anything wrong with it per se. I just don't think that I'm using it for the application that it was intended for. So let's put this guy in. Now I looked up the manual for this just to be sure, in case in case everything wasn't the same on the other one as it is on this one. So again, it goes signal This is the signal pad, this is the 5-volt positive pad, and this is the ground pad. So I just want to get those tinned up real quick, and we'll get these wires onto there, and then we'll have to bind it, which, surprisingly enough, I don't bind a lot of FR Sky stuff, so I might have to look up the procedure for binding. For some reason it seems to be easier on Spectrum for me, but this usually does have better range. Okay, so let's get some tin on these pads. And I'm not going to bother soldering through the hole or anything like that. I'm just going to just solder right to the top. A little bit of solder on there. Okay. I always like to keep these things flexed up real nice while I'm doing this. Ends up with a real nice joint. In case you want to know, this is a no clean flux, so I don't have to worry about cleaning all this flux back off of this. This is made for soldering electronics like this. So, alright, let's put this back on in reverse order. So we'll put the signal wire, which I have as blue. Move the whole quadcopter over a little bit. And because I have a little bit of tin on the wires and the pads, I really don't need to do anything as far as adding more solder goes. I can just put the wire on the pad, heat everything up, and it's soldered. Okay, next is our 5-volt. There we go. And ground. Okay, it looks like we don't quite got enough solder on the signal pin, so I'll probably lose the, yeah, that's what I thought. It's okay, we'll just get some more solder on there, glob it on, and then realign the wire. There we go, that looks pretty good. And honestly, that's it. The hard part is done. Maybe. So now I'm going to have to basically reassign this in the Tyrannus.
Welcome to OpenTX. Switch warning.
Oh, let's switch. Okay. So let's see if I can do this right the first time. So I should hold the bind button and then plug in the receiver, if I remember correctly. Hold the bind button. Well, first we get these plugs aligned. This little button back here is the bind button. Got some things going on here. Now I should just be able to just hit bind. And let me look at the manual just real quick. Okay, so my order of operations is off. So I have to get the transmitter into bind mode first, which you hear beeping. Then hold the button down and turn this on. So let's see. Turn off both the transmitter and the receiver. Okay. Connect the battery. So connect the battery to the XM receiver while holding on the FS button, and the LED on the receiver will flash indicating the bind process is completed. So if I shut off my light here, you can see my light is flashing, so that means I should be able to shut everything off. Now turn my receiver back on.
Welcome to OpenTX.
I should get a green light. Turn on the receiver and connect the battery. The green LED receiver, the indicator is receiving commands from the transmitter. So, we got a solid green light on the receiver, which is really hard to see. I see on the camera, but it's there. So we should be good to go. But before we do anything else, we are going to get the beta flight configurator out. And we will switch to probably screen capture here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring the whole quadcopter over to the computer. And we will see if this is actually connected. So I got now I got two really long wires here. I got to see which one. There we go. There's our USB. COM 3 connected. Alright, let's connect. Alright, that's the guy. So let's go to the receiver. And let's see if everything is moving the way it should. It's not. Oh, there we go. Our green light just turned on. So throttle's moving. We want roll. Roll is the right direction. Pitch is the right direction. Yaw is the right direction. Throttle. Okay. There's my arm switch. I have no idea what that's for. I have no idea what that's for. I think that's modes. So, let's see. We got beeper, which... Okay, so that's this guy. Let's flip over after crash. That's good. So that's VTX pit mode. Okay. So that is, I got that on this switch right here. And it should always start out in non-pit mode. So, let me temporarily hook back up the camera. And I want to put some power to this guy. Whoop. Gotta be careful about that. I just noticed that the actual transmitter antenna came off of the VTX. You don't want to turn that on while that's disconnected. Okay. And I'm going to have to turn on the receiver. So this is AV2, AV2, okay. So if I plug this in now, I should get VTX signal. And I do. And let's just jump into FPV mode real quick. Now actually, this is probably killing. Screen cap, there we go. So it says I'm getting no signal. That's because I didn't turn on the receiver yet. I know that I'm at 5800. Okay. This is way better. Okay, so my VTX pit mode is off, and when I flip this switch, yeah, now pit mode is on. Now pit mode is off. That's what I want. So if I shut this off, turn it back on, comes on, not in pit mode. That's great. So if I go back into this, I also mentioned that I was kind of liking flying without all the crap on the screen. So I think what I'm going to do is go back into the receiver here. What is aux 2 doing for me? Aux 3, aux 3, aux 4. I said that was aux 2? Okay. So, I think what I might want to do here is there is a way somewhere to change the OSD. Maybe we just want to disable the OSD. That wouldn't be bad. So I'm flying around and I'm just flying, I can just shut off the OSD. So the OSD should be on. Flip it to here and it's off. Flip it to here. So only the middle position the OSD is off. That might be the way to go. So let's check the FPV feed. Oh, we gotta save this. Okay. Saved. OSD off, OSD on. Yeah, I think I like that. I like that idea. So now when I'm flying around, and I just want to just kind of be flying, and I'm not trying to like go through any gates or try to hit anything, or and I'm just flying around like in the backyard like I was today. I should be able to now just shut off the OSD and just fly. And if I need to check my voltage or something, I can flip that switch over, check the voltage, and then flip back. So I like that idea. The other thing I want to do is I want to increase my rates a little bit. So PID tuning. So you can see right now I got like 650. The other quad, like I said, is running around 1200 degrees per second. So I'm going to go somewhere in between and just say let's try 800 degrees per second. So we'll just change our 750. Oh, 760 is right. Alright. Now, I know some people like to have these curves different for different directions. I've always flown with all of them being the same, so that's what I'm used to, so that's what I'm going to keep it at. X velocity, RC Expo. Yeah, I think I'll see how that flies tomorrow. That'll give me a little bit more, like when I want to do flips or something, that gives me a little bit more of a snappy flip. But not quite as snappy as that ridiculous 1200 degrees per second. I could flip that thing 3 times and not even know it happened. Which is awesome but not awesome at the same time, right? So I think that is going to be it for the beta flight stuff. I like how this is set up now a little bit better. I guess what I should probably do is put some conformal coating on this receiver, because everything else on this quadcopter is conformal coated and is really resistant to water. And this is what I like to fly like in the water, in the rain or in the snow or whatever I was doing, So it would be nice if the receiver was also conformal coated. That may even be the reason that the last one got screwed up. It was not conformal coated because it had shrink wrap on the outside of it, and I didn't feel like cutting it off. So I may have screwed myself there and didn't conformal coat it, and that's why it was having the problem it was. So I guess back over to the bench, we'll grab the conformal coating and put a quick layer on there, and then this thing will be ready to fly again tomorrow. Oh, and also, if you've seen the last one, I mentioned that the top plate was a little bit cracked on the right near where the camera goes. So I just took it apart. When I took it apart, I actually just hit it with a hammer to make it flat again, and then took some thin super glue and just put right in that crack, and that super glue just wicks down into there, and it's probably not good as new, but it's pretty good. It's good enough for me. So, all right, so that's how I fixed that. So let's go back onto the bench, and I'll get this thing conformal coated real quick, and that's probably going to be it for the day. All right, let's get this stuff off of here. Shut the radio off. Better shut down the FPV receiver. Shut that off. Pull that off. And put this guy away. Sorry about that. You'll have to sit through my mid-project cleanup. Just because, you know, I got all this crap on this bench right now, and I really I just want a little bit of room back before I start another mess. I have to clean one up, right? Especially when your crap is getting more than one layer deep. Oops. I think I'll just leave that on there like that. It'll be easy to find whenever I need it, and if I need to do a scope again, I'll have it there already. So let's just put this guy back. Alright, we don't need that anymore. Put the microscope back away. Yeah, I'm interested to see how that turned out. I had to watch what I was doing while I was soldering, so I couldn't really look at the video screen. But I hope that was in focus and everything, and you guys could see it. I think that was I hope that's a really cool addition to the stream, to the setup. And while we're doing this, and we're talking about streaming and setting up and all that other happy crap, I found out what was wrong with all the video cameras connected to this PC. As it turns out, whenever you have let's see, how many cameras do we got going here? We got the bench camera, which is a Logitech I don't know, one of their better Logitech ones. And the face camera here is another Logitech, same model, which is it's kind of goofy. Yeah, sometimes whenever I turn on OBS the first time, I have to switch which camera is doing what for face cam and the project view. You know, they'll just get randomly switched. Yeah, even though I didn't actually change anything. Anyhow, we have the microscope, which was giving us problems. I'll get into that in a moment. And we got the FPV view, which is a whole nother thing here. Actually, you know what? This is pretty cool. Let me show you what's going on here on this. So, this is my, let's see, this is my FPV ground station. This is my FPV ground station. It's using a, whoops, I don't even know, an FX triple play receiver, triple diversity receiver. And what I got is I got two right-hand circular polarized crosshair antennas from VAS, and that does my long-range penetration, but they only have a 30-degree cone. So I have them kind of separated out, and instead of both facing this way, they're kind of facing this way. So this now that instead of just covering a 30-degree cone, they're covering like a 60-degree cone on the x-axis, along the horizon. But they're still only covering like a 30-degree cone in the Z, or the vertical axis. I call it Z. Some people call it Y. Whatever. And then we have our omnidirectional here. In case if I wanted to fly around the back of myself, I'll still have signal even around the back of myself or right above myself with the Mad Mushroom here. And all that works pretty good. And I have that goes into these head play goggles. These are the box goggles that I like to use. They have a really wide field of view, and they're HD capable, but of course, you never really get HD quality or anything from FPV equipment, especially with low latency. But that is all powered by a 3S 4,000 milliamp hour LiPo battery that I just got taped on here. Let's see. Well, not taped, Velcroed on here. So this is the battery that powers all of this. I just have a power splitter that goes to the goggles as well as the receiver, the Triversity receiver. And then on top of that squid, that power squid, I have this conglomeration. So this has a video and audio and a mono channel output. So an analog output and a mono audio output that I have split, and one end goes to the goggles, which I'm using to see what I'm doing, and then the other end goes into this analog video digitizer that I got off of Amazon. It was like 35 or 40 bucks or something. And this goes into a USB port and acts like a USB webcam. So that's how I get the video from the FPV feed into the computer so that then I can stream it out to the rest of the world there. So I thought that was a pretty cool setup, actually. And I could just take all the streaming setup out of it, and then I could take that whole diversity setup and go fly long range out in the field with it, or I can even go lighter and take all that stuff off, and there is a non-diversity receiver in the headset that works for short range stuff. So like if I just want to go to the park and I don't want to bring all my equipment, I can just bring the headset and fly in the park for a little while. What was I saying? That was off on a tangent. That's right. Okay, so I have all these cameras connected to this computer, and I was having problems getting video to come in through all the different signals. So what I found was you can't have more than one video input on a USB bus on the inside of the computer. So if I use the front panel, so on the FPV stuff I use the front panel, which is one lane of USB, 2.0 by the way, USB 2 on that one. Directly on the motherboard I use the face cam, I think. The project cam goes into whenever I started this, there was a stream that I did that had building a computer for streaming, and it had a USB to PCI yeah, PCI board that I put into the computer to add some more USB expansion to the outside of the computer. So that one lane of PCI is being used by the USB, so I can put another camera on, which is the project camera. And then last but not least, I was going to give it to my dad for some more I/O on his computer. He's been having problems with not having enough USB 3 ports. So I was going to give it to him. He tried putting it in his machine, and it wasn't working for some reason. So he gave it back to me, and I figured, well, I got another PCI slot open on my motherboard in here. So I threw it in there, and I plugged the solder cam into that. So that's another PCI lane for USB into the PC. And that seems to work. So you have to keep one camera on each USB lane. So, and I'm out of lanes now. I got, let me see how many friggin' ports do I have on this machine now. I got 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19. I have 19 USB ports on this thing. So, of course, there's only 4 different lanes. You know, front panel I/O, rear panel I/O, and the 2 PCI expansions. But altogether, I have 19 USB slots on this machine, and it's working much better now. So that was all tangent. I need to clean up. I need to finish up this other stuff. Okay, so we'll go back to, nope, wrong one. Oh, and I have a, you see me reach down, and I got a stream deck that I'm using for switching the different feeds. The only thing is I have more feeds and more cameras than I have buttons on this stream deck. And I don't think I'm quite ready to get the bigger stream deck just yet. So I'll just have to keep going. FPV is the only one that I actually have to click on the mouse to get that to work on OBS. So let's put this stuff away. I guess I'm going to have to order a couple of new Allen keys. I don't know where the heck the other ones went, but evidently I used them somewhere else and I lost them. So I guess I'm going to need some more of them, and I'll just spread it around. I'll just spread those around until I can't lose them anymore. I need to take my garbage out here in a little while. These are my bags of receivers. Whoops, where the heck did you go? So these are all FR Sky receivers in this bag. These are all FR Sky receivers. So a couple of XMs, a couple of XM pluses, and I cut a couple of PWMs because I do like to build, you know, regular airplanes. I like to fly regular airplanes, but the receivers, the FR Sky receivers for PWM aren't real great, but they're awesome for, S-Bus. Well, I'm not going to say they're not great. I really don't have any, but they're expensive, you know. The reason I switched to FR Sky for S-Bus is the same reason you want to stay with Spectrum, because, you know, the Spectrum receivers for PWM are really, really cheap. But you can't do quite as much with them, you know. So these are the spectrum receivers, and like this is a PWM receiver, you know, and this is a Lemon RX receiver, and they're like, you know, this one here I think is like $10, but I have cheaper ones that are like $6 a piece, and that's what I want to put on like these foam planes that I'm flying here. You know, I don't want to spend $35 on a receiver and then spend $4 on an airplane. So I like to use these cheaper these cheaper receivers, but they're Spectrum. So I use, if I want to use FR Sky, I use these dumb little receivers. And this is a PWM receiver, and it's not going to focus. Of course it's not going to focus. Why would it focus? But this is just like a 4-channel receiver, and I use that for ultralight builds or planes that I, you know, that they're just going to be foamies. They're not for quads, but because you know, obviously there's not enough channels. But those work good. Put those back into the receiver bin. Okay. Put this guy away. Not clipping anything else, I don't think. Okay, disconnect. Okay. So all I need is, I hope I don't drop my camera. I usually use this conformal coating bottle to hold down the camera for the project camera up here. I use that to hold down the end of it because you know, you don't want that falling, and the wire's kind of heavy. So let's move this out of the way, and I need myself a brush, and any old brush will do. Yeah, this is the one I was using for cleaning dirt. We won't use that one. That might be a little bit much. Okay. So this is, I might have talked about it before, but this is Dow Corning coating, product number 1-2577 conformal coating, and I use this stuff. I bought it because I didn't want to use a conformal coating that I couldn't get again. If that makes sense? The other conformal coatings that a lot of people use, like, are MG Chemicals and stuff like that, and you have to get them off of Amazon. There's no other retailers for them that I could find. But I knew that I usually like to go for like industrial size things, like things that I can get again. Like, I know that I'm going to be able to get Dow Corning Chemicals, you know, conformal coating or whatever. I don't know that I'm going to be able to get MG Chemicals next time I need it, right? That's the reason why, you know, when I'm doing my paintball stuff, I don't use Slick Coat or something. I use Dow Corning Moly Coat. It's the same stuff. It's just not as expensive because it doesn't have the fancy, like, Slick 55 or something, or whatever PE or SP used to put on their things. It does the same thing, but it's cheaper, and I know that I can get it reliably again and again and again. So that's why we use that. Now, the only thing that's bad about this stuff is it cures from the moisture in the air. So you have to be real careful about moisture from the air getting into the container, and it actually tells you that you should use dry nitrogen to purge the air out of the container before you close it up, or else you'll reduce its lifespan by a lot. So, which is good for me because since I was doing paintball stuff for so long, I actually have an air cylinder full of dry nitrogen. So whenever I use this stuff, I can then go over to the nitrogen supply and just purge this air container back out with dry nitrogen, and that's kept the shelf life of this thing. It looks just as good as the day that I got it. You know, it's not getting hard or anything. So for right now, just get some coating on this. And you can just kind of slop this stuff on. It's supposed to go over electronics like this. So we'll get some more. And I kind of like to dab it on like this because I want a nice thick coat, and I want it to get down into all the small cracks. And it seems like this dabbing method like that seems to get into all the cracks and around all the little components really well. Now you don't. This is almost like a silicone based conformal coating, and it builds up pretty thick. And what's nice about it is when you go to solder something, you can actually just score around the solder marks, around the solder pads. You could just kind of score that with a like an X-Acto knife or something, and peel that silicone layer off of the soldering area. And then you could just solder it like normal. You don't have to worry about you know, getting contamination or anything. And I've had no problem. I've even had times whenever I soldered just right through the stuff. And I mean, it turns into a little bit of a brown sludge, but it peels right off. So you don't have to worry about you know, contaminating anything. It doesn't like burn up. You know, it kind of turns into a brown kind of nasty looking stuff, and you can just peel it off and you're good to go. So I have not been looking at all on the chat. Let's see if is there anybody chatting? Yeah, hey, there we go. Hey, what's up? Let's see, how many, is there anybody even watching? 3 viewers. What is up? Alright, so let me walk around the back here, and I will, oops, I gotta purge this, like I said, I gotta purge this conformal coating container to keep it from getting too full, you know, from curing inadvertently. I just make sure there's nothing on the lid, you know, so whenever you close it up, it doesn't get like really hard to open again. So I'll be right back. I'll walk around the back here. There we go. We just open the valve, hold the nitrogen in with my hand, close it up. Now it's purged and it's ready to get put away for another couple of months. So right back on top of the project cam. Let's see what else is going on here. Nothing much. Alright, let's I was going to put this thing back together, but you know what? I better let that conformal coating um, set up and get nice and hard. And then I can throw a piece of shrink tube over top of the whole thing and tie it down tomorrow. Hopefully it'll be not raining and I can actually get some flying done again. So yeah, we're going to leave that as it is. Let's see, let's get a bin, put the wire, put some screws in it, put that off to the side. Yeah, I guess since I'm streaming here and I actually got some viewers, which is surprising. Hey, how are you, viewers? I don't know why the heck you're watching a guy talk to himself and work on quadcopters, but I appreciate it. I guess I might as well see what the heck is going on with this guy. So just get this out of the way. So this is, if you caught any of my other streams, I kind of got lost focus on the other balsa wood plane that I was building. It was just getting a little bit too big for what I wanted to build. I want to build something that I can fly like in the backyard and just kind of go slow and slow and maybe put FPV feed on it so that you guys can watch. So that thing was just getting too big. So I decided I'm going to try something for a little bit smaller, and I found these wings. These are wings off of a canard that my dad made 20 years ago. But they're wings, and that's all you need to have for an airplane. So I decided I was going to build an airplane around these wings. And so far what I got is this is the fuselage here. And this is going to be a low wing setup. And hopefully we're going to run like a 2205 motor on it. And we're going to run a 5-inch prop on it, and we're running off of probably 3S, maybe 4S. I'm not sure yet. But something that fits inside the fuselage. That's all that matters, really. And that should give us plenty of power to, do short takeoffs or whatever we want to do. That should be more than enough power. So what I'm doing right now is I really don't have a really good plan on how I want the plane to progress. Hey, Jackie from Roseanne. I am fine. How are you tonight? But I don't have a real plan on how I want this thing to progress. So what I'm doing is I'm just building a square fuselage with a little bit of rigidity on it. And I will cut out anything else that I need a little bit later. So it's almost like making a stock part. And then I'll fill out what I need, once I figure out what that is. Exactly. Yeah. So the reason I haven't really been streaming this particular build is like flight test planes and stuff use hot glue to build most of their components. But there's two problems I have with hot glue in this particular application. Is hot glue is actually pretty heavy. So to build something like this with a double wall and hot glue, it's going to weigh a lot more than using this Gorilla Glue. So this Gorilla Glue is more like a foam that goes in between the layers and glues them together, obviously. But it does it, and it's about as light as the foam is. So I'm not really adding much weight other than the extra foam. So that's what you want to do on these lighter planes like this. You really don't want to use that hot glue. It's too heavy. So let me just double check. Oh, but as I was saying, whenever you build the flight test planes with hot glue, you can build them pretty quick, and that's something that you can stream. But whenever you're using this Gorilla Glue, you have to set your joint up, clamp it down, and then it's a half an hour wait. So what you end up doing is you make one glue joint and then wait a half an hour. And then you come back down and you make another glue joint and then you wait a half an hour. It's a slow way to build it, but it it's good for, like, I'll clean up the rest of the shop or something, or take a walk, and when I come back it's ready to go. And it's a slow way to build, but it's actually a nice light way to build, and it's actually stronger because I instead of gluing, say if I was using hot glue, I really couldn't get hot glue down this entire 30-inch length. It would start drying on one end before I was finished with the other. But with this Gorilla Glue, I can spread it on nice and thin and put it on there and clamp it down and get it exactly where I want it, and I'll get more surface area and better adhesion with the Gorilla Glue. So I'm just going to the other thing about this Gorilla Glue is you might be able to see it kind of foams up as it dries. So you have to kind of be careful about the joints, and you have to clear out the corners. So that's what this thing right here is, where the Gorilla Glue came up and foamed up out of the top of the joint. So I'll just cut this out here with the knife. Now I get a nice square joint in there. Same thing down here. And here. Now usually it's easy to grab it out. Pull it out. Ooh, it is raining out there. Okay, so that's pretty much done. Now what I'm going to have to do next is, so I reinforced the sidewalls, I need to reinforce the floor, and then I can put this is a part I made when I first started. I'll glue this on top like that, and then my structure will be pretty much done for the fuselage. So you can kind of see it just ends up being as like a little reinforced box. And then I can put a mark where I want the center of gravity to be, and cut the recess out for the wing, and all that other happy stuff. So I really want to start this right now. It is 12:35. No, I really don't want to start this now. I'm kind of feeling like this is going to be the end of the day. I really just wanted to see if this was all glued up and dry, which obviously it is. So, okay, I think that is going to be it for tonight. Got some little projects done, and talked about an airplane that might get flown, might not, we'll see. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to do. I want to see if I have any video transmitter equipment that'll fit inside of this thing, or am I going to end up having to buy some? So, there we go. So this is a older video transmitter that is in that second. This is the same kind of transmitter that's in that second quad that I was flying today. It's a Omway video transmitter, and it isn't going to need any OSD or anything like that. So this might be the transmitter that I run in this, because we want this thing to be light. So we don't want to be throwing any kind of big heavy components on it, you know, obviously. Here's another one. This one ain't got no connector on it. And then what do we got for cameras? What do we got for cameras? Oh, we got a little micro camera. These things have really, really crappy video, though. Yeah, here's another one. Got a couple of Foxneer HS1177s. That might work. But if, let's see. So this camera would work, but it's kind of heavy and it's kind of big. Like, if I want to build like a cockpit up around this thing, that's going to be a little bit on the big side for what I'm looking for on this thing. So let's see, what else we got? HDLRC, I think this is another transmitter. Yeah, that's a transmitter. I'm not going to run any kind of flight control in this, so we don't need any smart audio, so definitely don't want to use this. That's just going to be overkill. Let's see, an empty run cam box. What are you? Another empty run cam box. Why do I keep these? How about you? What are you? Another empty run cam box. Of course. Now that one says spare parts on it. At least it's honest. So it looks like I don't have any more mini cameras. All I have are full-size ones. And I mean, it may not be exactly what I want, but I'll save myself a couple of bucks and not buy another one, you know. Another HDLRC transmitter. Mini Cube F3. Oh, that's a flight controller box. Are you another transmitter? Oops. Nope, that's the same transmitter I picked up before. Silly. Okay, so I don't have any more micro cams, so I'll just have to use, you know, one of these HS1177s, which is no big deal. They have good picture, and they work well with these one-way transmitters. Do I have any more BTX SMA connectors? Yeah, I guess. Man, these rubber duckies are heavy. Well, I guess I could, yeah, well, I think what I'll do is I'll probably use this and this and this as my FPV system. And to keep the weight down, I will pop off the rubber ducky, the rubber part of the rubber ducky, and just use the wire. That'll save a bit of weight. But that is for another day, my friends. I think that is going to be it for tonight. Alright, everybody. Thanks for coming in. Everybody. I mean, I think I had 5 viewers. But MyThane88 and Jackie from Roseanne, which, why aren't you working on Roseanne? Anyhow, thank you guys for participating in the chat, and I'll see you at the next one.